And we have in the house this morning, and I'm sure he's going to tell me, Vernon, this is not the house. We have in the house this morning the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. Where he's not the president this morning, I'm the president this morning, but he's the president of the Senate. Good morning, Mr. Tom Tavares Finson. How are you this morning?
No, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good.
Oh, you're good. I'm saying no.
Yes.
This morning I'm the president. You're in the house, but this morning I'm the president in the house.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes.
I listen to your program and it's always a pleasure. And I want to say thank you to yourself and your support team who have gotten me here this morning, and to your listeners and viewers. I thank you for taking the time out to listen to us and to participate in the program. So it's a pleasure, because it's a humbling experience to know that start with that people have any interest in what you have to say anyway.
Yes.
Much less to take time out of their day to listen. So I really appreciate being invited, and I appreciate your listeners and those who join during the course of this program.
And we really appreciate the fact that you have decided to come on. I know you're not one of those arrogant leaders who say, I can't remember. No, you're definitely not like that at all. Sir, there's confusion caused by politics. There's confusion caused by mischief makers. There's confusion caused because people have not been exposed to civics in our schools. And there's confusion sometimes because we need more involvement of the people. Because if the people feel they are divorced from the system, then they make up all kind of stories. And then there's another thing which is not available, which is helping to create the confusion, is social media. And as I said to a Department of Government, if you wait until you put a press release together, you dot every T's, which you have to do in any case. But by the time you put that together, social media has feet, and they outrun Usain Bolt, and they'll also become a rocket, and they'll go to the moon and back before you get your press release out. So it means, therefore, the whole country will have to function in a different way, be more inclusive, keep the people involved, or else people seek the opportunity to create confusion. What the confusion caused recently, I think, is because people don't understand the role of the president and the Speaker of the House and the clerk. And we had a case recently where there was a challenge, and when the Speaker attempted to deal with it, I'm not here to decide whether she's wrong or right. The whole nation, including the trade unions, civil service, I was shocked when the impression was given. And you tell me if I'm wrong. You're lawyers, although you are a member of a political party. You're a lawyer. I know that you are not going to mislead us, because you can't afford to come on radio and people believe that you don't know the law. But I said to myself, as far as I know, the people all believe that the Speaker, the clerk of the House and the deputy clerk, that they are civil servants. They also believe that the clerk reports to a permanent secretary. And you hear persons who are supposed to know. They say that the Speaker should have allowed the permanent secretary to handle the matter. My simple basic understanding, and you're here to help me, is that the Speaker the clerk of the House is under the Constitution. I think it's 47, I think, Section 47, is recommended, and the Governor General will approve of it. And also, if the clerk of the House is to be removed, you have to have a two-third majority of the House to have the clerk removed. It does not a matter of something going to the Services Commission. Help me to understand now what happened, because we need to, and you need to help us push that we have civics in all the schools so that young people can understand. So when we get information, we're not misled.
Well, first of all, let me just make an observation about the question of social media. There was a time, for example, not a long time ago, when you had a program like Monty Perkins, for example, and you had 6 or 7 people who would call him on a regular basis and almost became opinion makers in the society. That has changed now because of the access to social media.
Right.
And to that extent, it's a very good thing. However, it has some very negative side effects. And you hinted at it. Those negative side effects can be mitigated, can be reduced by information and transparency. Because you will notice, for example, when something takes flight on the internet, for example, recently with this airplane landing with these people, all of a sudden,
No, but I
it
mentioned
was
that one. No, hold on. That was a comedy show.
no, I'm just giving you an example.
I know, but I'm
It
just
was
saying to you, when I heard it, I said, no, man, somebody need to find about the travel business. Is that so it works? I laugh my head
yeah.
off.
Anyway, so but
Yes.
it is put to sleep because of information.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let me just give you, as far as the parliament is concerned, and the
Oh,
particular
by
issue
the way, there are some people still confused. They don't realize the plane came in. Only two persons have had a problem with their documentation. The other persons came there and landed. They're up and down enjoying themselves, and people are asking, why are these people on the street? It's amazing. Oh boy! But then
and pay their own way at
right. But then again, sir, I
complex.
must tell you, those of us who are in the media, we have a responsibility to make sure we get accurate information. We don't jump to get the news first, and we don't jump because something is sensational. Yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
Okay. So specifically as it relates to the Parliament of Jamaica is a very important institution.
Yes.
It is an important institution physically, and it is an important institution conceptually because it is the fulcrum, it is the centerpiece of the democracy, where the representatives, the 63 representatives and the 21 senators sit to pass laws in the interest of the people of Jamaica and in the interest of Jamaica. So it sits at the very heart of the democracy.
Right.
Now, it operates independently to a very large extent from all other government agencies and ministries. And what has been happening in the Commonwealth over the last 20 or 30 years is that increasingly the administration of the Parliament becomes more and more independent for obvious reasons. You don't want the Parliament dependent on, for example, the government or the opposition.
Yes.
The Parliament is where the people's representatives sit, and they should be the ones to whom the Parliament is responsible.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, we have links with the Ministry of Finance for obvious reasons.
Right.
But beyond that, there are no links into the civil service.
And that to be,
so
hold on, take time with that one because this sounds like breaking news to me. You say no links to the civil service.
No, there are no links into the civil service.
So hold on. So when I called the president and I said, why did you speak? And he gave the impression as if the clerk was a member of the civil service. I was correct.
Absolutely.
You see, you should have sent me to law school, you know, Mr. Finson. You should have sent me to law school. You know.
Let us take, for example, the situation as to how a civil servant would be appointed.
Yes.
A civil servant is appointed through, of course, they'll be members of the Civil Service Association, and
right.
then you have the Public Services Commission and so on.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case with the Parliament of Jamaica.
Okay.
And it is not so the case for a simple reason. As I said, you don't want the Parliament entwined in the day-to-day administration of the country so as it may fall under the influence of a particular ministry or minister.
Oh,
the clerk, for example,
yes,
as you rightly pointed out, under Section 47(1) and 2 of the Constitution of Jamaica, clerk is appointed by the Governor General on the advice of the Speaker and the President of the Senate. So you will recognize automatically the difference between what is happening in say, a ministry and what is happening at the Parliament. Because in relation to, a minister cannot hire or fire a permanent secretary. It is the Public Services Commission and the other various commissions that do such things. So having been appointed on the advice of the President and the Speaker,
mm-hmm.
the administration of the Parliament based on Commonwealth precedent and the way in which the structure is set up, the managerial structure has the clerk responsible for the day-to-day administration of the Parliament.
Yes.
That clerk, whether he or she is responsible for the day-to-day running of the Parliament, from what is happening in the parking lot to the presentation and preparation of bills and as you would have seen on television, participating in the process of the parliamentary debates and so on.
Her role is similar to the permanent secretary of the ministry. She's really like the permanent secretary for parliament. I don't know if that's a way I should put it. Might not sound too legal.
The comparison would stop when it comes to the question of who she reports to, and who is in a position to give her direction. A minister can give policy direction to a permanent secretary, as I understand it.
Right.
But in the parliament, it is more a situation where both the president, both the speaker, and the president are more involved in the granular running of the establishment.
Because parliament is not linked to any other ministry. So hold on now. So the same clerk of the house that reports to you also reports to the Speaker of the Lower House.
Yes. So what we would normally do, well, in relation to Mrs. Holness and I, we will divide up the responsibilities. For example, because of her very strong, I don't know if you know that she's actually a very fine accountant. And because of her accounting capacity, she will keep an eye more on the financial matters of Parliament, where I will
I put something to you now, sir. I want to tell you, coming up to the break. So that we have to think that when the Constitution came about, I'm going to put it in a crude way, is when you had two cousins. One consult with the other. The day will come when you will have to have your clerk, and you have to have your clerk down there, because you might find out.
But to be quite frank with you, the Constitution makes provision for a clerk of the Senate and a clerk for the House.
Let me go for the break. That is quite interesting because I thought of that. Yes. I'm going to go for the break. Yes. We're speaking to the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares, Finson. So come back. Don't move. Welcome back here, listening to Spot On with Vernon Darby coming from Kingston, Jamaica. Jamaica, ready in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Good morning to my friends in New York, in Miami, and London. It's great to have you. Of course, it's Spot On with Vernon Darby, and we are talking with the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. Listen, I can't pay for the education that you're educating me. You're giving me all the information.
Yes, so what I was saying is that the Constitution permits the Senate to have its own clerk.
I didn't know that at all.
Who, aside from the role of administration, because the clerk, as I said, is responsible for the administration from the car park to the employment of staff and the management of the financials of the Parliament. She also employs the role or occupies the role of the chief advisor to both the president and the speaker. It is because the Senate in Jamaica as a review chamber and because of the level of debate in the Senate, we have not had the need to employ our own clerk in the president, in the Senate. Although I must say,
do you pay two salaries to the clerk?
No.
Man, I get yourself in the trouble.
Remember, she's not a member of the Civil Service Association.
Well, I'm going to present the clerk. Anyhow, continue.
Yeah, no, so although we would have junior members of staff that are sort of concentrating on the work of the Senate, the clerk would cover both roles. And I would, if you just permit me, I would like to say two things. One of the very unfortunate things is that because of the particular way in which this matter was dealt with by persons in wider society, it came across as if there was a lot of animus and hostility towards Miss Curtis.
But hold on, Mr. Taffer. Why would intelligent people think like that when you work with an organization? By the way, let me get it very clear. So basically, the Speaker of the House, the clerk, reports to the Speaker, right?
Yes.
So, okay, I see. So if my boss writes me a letter and said, you have been this A, B, C, D, F, G, and probably I'll let tell permit, my job would be to respond in writing to the boss, right?
But you see, unfortunately, in this particular instance, that particular directive went into the public domain.
But let me hold on that point, No, the Speaker has been accused of making it public. No, I hope the speaker is not stupid. Why would the speaker
No,
say?
but what had happened, my understanding is that in the interest of transparency,
Yeah.
and because that is the name of the game today,
Yes.
the letter was copied to members of parliament.
Hold on, you're the lawyer here, though, but me go tell me, I'll give you my common sense right now. And I want to tell you, because sometimes a lot of it no sense, If the speaker reports to parliament, if there's a disciplinary problem, it is the parliament which should have to decide. It would seem to me that the speaker can write a private letter to the clerk and don't inform the members of parliament. Am I right?
No, you are perfectly right.
You still didn't know? Are you telling me so me bright?
What this particular speaker and I have done is to ensure that we bring the members of parliament into the circle of decision making.
But you must, or it will be dictatorial, undemocratic.
And this is an advertisement. We are presently looking for a deputy clerk and a senior legal officer. So whereas before,
please send him a bail for me, please.
That advertisement would normally be placed in the paper on Sunday, and that's the end of it. What we have done now is sent out to all the 63 members of parliament and the members of the Senate, who are now aware that we are recruiting, and the country is now aware that we are recruiting. But the truth about the matter is that the former clerk, Ms. Curtis, and all of us have enjoyed a very good working relationship.
Hold on, let me just caution you as your lay lawyer here. I'm not too interested about Ms. Curtis and whether she's happy or not. What I want to
I'm not interested in that either. I was just saying to you, animus there, and I can leave it at that.
Yeah.
We are the one that appointed her. We are the one that gave her an extension.
And there must be no coming to this. You have a job to do. A letter is written. So I'm not who want to get into the pettiness and who vex. I waste of time because I hear. And by the way, let me tell you something. I can't speak. I'm no lawyer like you. I have no experience as a layman. But if I have a gardener, or if I have somebody who I know who worked for 40 or 99.001 years, and he commits a murder on the last day, he will be a murderer forever and ever. Amen. Now, if somebody has been a good worker, and I feel that I need to write my letter, but because the person is a good worker, I must document that so also went wrong. I want my trade union. By the way, I support the trade unions, and I love them. Let me tell you, I've supported them over the years and worked with them. This is the part that so I'm glad you're here, because I think I saw it, but then I don't see myself as being bright. I'm no lawyer, but I have common sense, which they tell me is not very common.
Common sense is not very common these days. You're perfectly right. So that is really the situation. The parliament operates as an independent.
So what you're saying now is that the speaker, I don't know the details, only the speaker, wrongly or rightly, wrote a letter about a matter to the clerk, and she has a right to do so. That's what I want.
Yes. Good. It's within our constitutional and practiced authority to do so.
Oh, you're telling me
because she is responsible, along with myself, for the running of the parliament.
You see, you're going to put the law to it there now, so the trade unions probably don't know that, and other persons, Civil Service Association, Jamaica for Justice, they probably don't know that. So you are to be blamed, so you have not educated them, but you're doing so now. So you're saying under the Constitution, the speaker and yourself has that right?
Of course, under the Constitution.
And next I want to ask you, if a letter is written to Mrs. Curtis, or anybody else, just to be calling her name, that person who gets a letter has a responsibility to respond. Because if you don't respond, you could get the impression that you are accepting that you have done something wrong.
Yes, in the normal course of things, the person would respond.
But I'm going to tell you somebody instructed her not to respond to the letter. The leader I had to call the person, leader of one of the organizations, suggests that she should not respond. Not understanding that you're not a lawyer, but like a common sense, you have told me that she should respond to the letter.
That would have been the correct thing
to do. That's the correct. Then if you respond to the letter, then I don't know, you have to tell me as a lawyer, then you probably have a hearing on the matter.
If you respond, exactly. If you respond to the letter and you say, well, I'm agreeing with these things, I disagree with that, then
right.
There can be some. In the normal course of things, what would happen is that the particular officer and the speaker, or the particular officer and myself, would sit together and try and work it out. And if there is need for some remedial work or some remedial action, it would be taken at the level of the speaker, president, and the particular officer who has an issue. Because like every organization, we have issues. It's not just because somebody work at the parliament don't mean that they're not going to have a problem either with the speaker or myself. They do.
No, I want you to help with the next point, because time is going, although we'll probably go over a little more after quarter. We have one break and then probably go over a little. So, I hear call now for, and by the way, let me make it very clear, I'm not in the position to say whether or not the information in the speaker's letter is correct or not. I can't go to the speaker and tell her what merits a letter. I don't. If she can't decide that, then she will be pathetic, and you would also be pathetic. You must know what you need to write. I can't tell you what to do, as you say, it's your constitutional right. What I need to understand now, I hear this big call. I was surprised. I've always wanted the trade unions to join me on quite a number of issues, but they haven't so far, my friend. For example, I've called on them now to join together and make sure that Labor Day is all about Labor Day and not just go out and work, and I don't get all of them to agree. But they all agree that the speaker should retract the letter. Now, I want to know on what basis. Have they told you guys? Have they met with you as to on what basis the letter should be?
Well, what the speaker has already indicated that for any number of reasons, the letter has not, and is not going to be placed on the file of Ms. Curtis. I don't understand the call for a withdrawal because there's an allegation of some level of, I don't want to use the word misconduct, but some.
All right, so you're being very nice. Something was done which should not have been done, and the speaker. And by the way,
alternatively, was not done which ought to have been.
Could I tell you something? That's a problem with Jamaica, sir. The problem
that really. So sorry, Vernon. So the issue.
Yes.
That caused the letter to be written in the first place has not been resolved. In other words, that issue
has not been
particularly issued. It is not possible to resolve it. It happened. So if you're going to withdraw, I don't see the basis on which a letter could be withdrawn, because then if you withdraw the letter, then you are saying that there was no reason for the letter to be written in the first place.
And then you were wrong in the first place. All right.
Not right or wrong, but if you write a letter reprimanding someone and then you subsequently withdrew it, then it would mean that there was no reason for the letter.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So
and I don't think anybody is saying that.
Right. So
I think that what people were concerned, it's going to be on a particular individual's file. Or
could I tell you something, sir?
That's not made itself to the file.
Could I tell you something, sir? And I'm going to be the lay lawyer now. If you write a letter to an employee, it ought to go on the person's file. Because you might have to write a letter 2, 3, and 4, and when you don't put it on the file, and somebody says, how you want to get rid of that person, there's nothing on the file. You see, the nation has assumed because you write a letter, it is some punishment. It is not. It's a matter of documenting. And we all know, in any administration, and the trade unions can tell you that if you're going to dismiss somebody, especially in the civil service, you have to have documentation. So at this point, I'll tell you my humble opinion.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not even in the civil service, right across the board. And as you rightly point out, we try to follow the
yes. No, this time I'm going to tell Mrs. Holders that she was wrong not to put it on the file. If you write somebody, we're going to put it in your pocket. No, it's an organization. It's a formal letter. The fact that it's on the file, then no, you hear my gay advice that I don't know lawyers, so I make sure I remind everybody. The clerk should respond to that letter. If the speaker have a problem with the response now, then no, we can probably have a discussion and a hearing, and based upon that discussion, other things would move from there.
Well, in a particular circumstance, the clerk has retired. And I assume has begun to enjoy her well-earned retirement. And the parliament literally has moved on because the new clerk is here.
I'm going to put it to you, sir, that we have not moved on. I'm putting it to you like a nasty cut. The cut might have healed, but the scar is still there. And there are many persons who are more concerned not about the healing, but the scar. And mark my word, they're going to talk about the scar again. Based on what, and I'm bad with this program is open. I want to hear the other side, because what we are still talking about is constitutional reform, because we're learning about the Constitution. So I want to hear from other persons, and let it known to my listeners. I've extended invitations to other persons to come and talk on this program. Going to go for the break. We're speaking with, when you come back, we'll probably spend another 5 more minutes or so. And
thank you very much.
Okay, you're listening to Spot On with Vernon Darby. Soon come back. Don't move. Welcome back. You're listening to Spot On with Van and Darby, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica, this beautiful country, yeah, where we say we little but we tell our. And we're speaking with the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. We're looking at Parliament, how it operates, and we're just doing, probably say, the tip of the iceberg. We looked at the speakers, the clerks, and the deputy clerks. And we have learned quite a bit. I must say that from day one, I took a position. And my position was that whether I support a party or not, because we all support various parties. And it's interesting to know that, you see, as if so the ideas that I have, how things should go, the President of the Senate concurs. But there are other persons who might not concur. Therefore, this microphone is open. I've extended invitations. So I've called Jamaica for Justice. They have not returned my call. The People's National Party, other parties, free to come. I want to hear from you because the people need to be informed so they can make informed decisions. Okay, back to you, Mr. President, the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson.
Yes, yeah. So essentially, what we try to do at the Parliament is to operate a management unit that can pass all the tests.
Right.
And this is by way of summary. The test of providing the physical and theoretical space in which the country's legislators can debate and can pass legislation for the good governance of the country.
Right.
So that is one of the roles as both myself and Mrs. Holness.
Mm-hmm.
And the clerk, Ms. Colleen Lowe, and our very competent staff to provide a space, competent space.
Right. Before you make your final point, though, and I want to tell you, this is my personal position. I think I'd love to see the executive separated from the Parliament. I'd love also to see that senators are elected. I do not support the two cost of things where you have the Prime Minister, you consult with the leader of the opposition, they just appoint persons to the Senate, considering that the Senate can overrule the Parliament. You see it happening in the state of emergencies. You can have persons who are speaking when they were not elected by the people. You cannot have persons overrule the democratic elected representative of the people when they're just appointed. So
but you know that I'm surprised. It may surprise you to know that I share that position.
You're going to make me have a thought now.
it becomes very stark, as you rightly pointed out. Yeah. The Constitution has a number of areas where it is required to have, in relation to the state of emergency, for example, it's required to have one vote from the opposition.
Let me tell you, because you have can you imagine? And we have had it before, where only one party was in the in Parliament. Can you imagine? We only have one member of the opposition, and that one member can appoint all the other senators and can overrule the government, sir. Just think of that. When anybody tell you anything else, you just.
Well, you know, the truth about the matter is that, let us take, for example, something like the state of emergency.
Yeah.
That amendment was put in place because of the 1976 state of emergency.
Why you have to remind me that one? You make my blood pressure go up.
That is why they regard it as being corrupt.
But that is why when you make such decisions based upon certain crises or emotions, you're not making a bad decision. I think it was a bad one. The fact that happened in 1976, which I was around, it was wrong. And now you make a law to prevent that. You make it far worse off in terms of the administration of the country. Because as I said before, one single man can get into the House, appoint all the senators, and stop the 62 members of Parliament from leading this country can't work. Final points, I'm into trouble. I go over time. You're going to make me lose work. You're not going to find any job. Give me,
Well, can apply for one of the work of a Parliament, man. I don't tell you, say we have two big positions up there.
They don't set the age limit. Let me tell you something. I don't think the age limit should be in the Constitution. That's the first thing.
But the age limit may catch you.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Tom Tavares. This age limit, why don't I make politicians have a retirement age? I don't support it. I think it should be optional. In the society we are living in a poor country, persons should be free to work, and you should be able to extend it. And that's why I have the whole kind of stupidness with the, you see, I get that behaving myself with the DPP.
Can I just say something? Can I just say something very quickly? In relation to, just generally speaking, in relation to our retirement age for plenty of our positions, people don't understand that a lot of those things are coming from the colonial time.
Oh, you better get rid of it. I have to go now, sir. You have to come back again here because, listen, you gave a first-class lecture, which I'm going to have and which will be shared I really appreciate it. I'm in trouble this
Thank you
morning,
very much.
but I learned. We think we know everything, you know.
And I want to just say thank you very much to your listeners who
Yes,
took the time to listen to us, because without them, we'd just be talking in
yes.
cyberspace. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much, my friend. You have a wonderful day. Okay, so there you have it. We're just on talking with the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson. I hope you learned quite a bit. And as I said before, it's open for the person to come. I've already extended the invitation. So if you don't hear them, don't blame Vernon.